What is going on, snooker fans? It is less than 1 week until things get kick-started at the Crucible Theatre for this year's World Snooker Championship. And in build-up to the tournament, I'm making a video that I made 2 years ago just to have a little bit of fun with you guys, and that is to try and rank the players, the top 16 seeds, as who is the most likely, in my opinion, to be crowned this year's world champion. Now, when I made the video 2 years ago, I went through all top 16 seeds and ranked them on a scale of 1 to 10 on who was most likely to win a world championship. Then a comment from one of you guys suggested this idea for a future video, which makes just so much more sense, and that is ranking the top 16 from 16th to 1st, and that is exactly what I'm going to do this year. Now, there are of course a couple of caveats. The first being a qualifier could indeed win the world championship. That happened 12 months ago with Zhao Xintong. Jack Jones got to the final 2 years ago as well. So those things are something that I can't predict. I'm not going to wait until the qualifiers are done and then try and rank the top 32. I think that's a little bit too much. And then also the draw's not been made yet. You know, the player that I rank first could draw someone like Jack Lazarski or Stuart Bingham, and then you kind of reevaluate things. But as it stands, this is how I'm going to rank the top 16 from 16th to 1st, as in who is the most likely to win the world championship. And I start in 16th with Zhao Xintong. And I know this is when all of you pause the video, you stop the video, and you ask, what on earth is this guy doing? This guy knows nothing about snooker. Look at the season that Zhao Xintong is having. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me present my evidence. And that comes in 2 words, and that is crucible curse. The snooker gods will simply not allow Zhao Xintong to win the world championship this year. They would rather see a 70-year-old Jimmy White come out of retirement and win a first world title. The crucible curse has been going on for nearly 50 years now. We've seen players like Mark Selby, Stephen Hendry, Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins, all the greats of the modern game have suffered to the curse, and Zhao Xintong, I'm afraid, will be no different. Things were said about Kyron Wilson 12 months ago. He looked so good last season. He's definitely going to beat the curse. Judd Trump, about 7 years ago, he was winning, I think, 5 or 6 tournaments in the lead up to the Crucible. He's going to beat the curse. No, I'm afraid, underestimate the snooker gods at your peril. In all seriousness, Zhao Xintong has been playing amazing snooker over the past few months, and he could go very deep. But will he win the tournament? Absolutely not. Then in 15th, I've gone with Zhao, who does boast a very good crucible record, having made it to the semis, the quarters, and the last 16 in his 3 appearances there since 2023. But this season has been a bit hit and miss over the course of the season, with just a couple of quarterfinals to his name, and has typically finished on the wrong side of matches that he's played against the fellow top players. And that doesn't bode well for him when he has a potential second round tie against Judd Trump lined up. Next up, I have Wu Yize, who in fairness has been absolutely flying this season, not only winning his maiden ranking title out in China earlier in the season, but also getting to 2 further semi-finals. He is yet to win a match at the Crucible, but this will be the first time he comes here as a seed. There is every chance that Wu could go and repeat what Xintong done 12 months ago, but I'm looking at a potential second round match against Mark Selby if they both get through as a bit of a sticking point. And Selby is a man who Wu has never beaten, so good luck trying to do that for the first time at the Crucible over 3 sessions. It feels almost inconceivable that I would have put Ding Junhui this low on a list like this, but unfortunately with every passing year, it seems less and less likely that Ding will ever be crowned a world champion. He only just kept his top 16 seeding as well, and so far this season he has only yielded 3 quarterfinal appearances and has gone no further than that. You also have to go back to 2018 for the last time Ding got past the second round at the Crucible. I do think it would be one of the sport's biggest heartbreaks if he never claims a world title, and who knows, maybe Xintong's win last year has relieved a bit of that pressure on his shoulders, but unfortunately I cannot see him doing it this year. Chris Wakelin is a very dangerous seed here who should not be completely discounted. He won the Scottish Open back in December and has reached quarterfinals in all 3 tournaments of the Players' Series this season, as well as getting to the semi-finals in Saudi Arabia earlier in the season as well. The man also beat Neil Robertson and Mark Allen as a qualifier last season on his way to the quarterfinals, and Wakelin does possess the type of style that typically lends itself very well for the World Championship. He doesn't have many weaknesses and comes to Sheffield in good form, so no one will fancy playing him this year. Zhao Xintong has continued to build upon his breakthrough season last campaign by not only defending his Wuhan Open title, but also getting to a semi-final and 3 further quarterfinals over the course of the season. He has never been beyond the last 16 at the Crucible, but he did push John Higgins all the way to a deciding frame in the second round last year. Much in the same vein as Wakelin, Zhao is a very competent all-round player with a strong temperament to go with that as well, and will not be a pushover for anyone, but I'm not brave enough to put him any higher on this list, although maybe he deserves to be. In 10th place, I've got Mark Allen, who is still searching for a maiden world title. Oddly, Mark has been one of the more consistent players this season, with 1 title under his belt, as well as reaching a further 5 semi-finals, yet he still comes to Sheffield with a lack of confidence in his game. He said after his loss to Judd Trump at the Tour Championship that he just can't bear playing this badly, even though I thought he was actually playing okay in the second half of that match. He is also still waiting a first World Championship final and has only made it to the semi-finals twice in 19 previous appearances. His new style of a more methodical way of playing still makes him a lot harder to beat than he used to be, but I'm not convinced enough to back him this year. Anyone who has watched my channel before will no doubt be surprised when I say there is nothing I would like to see more than Neil Robertson winning a second world title, but unfortunately I've almost resigned to the fact that he will probably forever stay on just a 1. It is no secret that his Crucible record is beyond poor, and it never really matters what kind of form he comes to Sheffield in, he can never quite produce it at the Crucible. Neil tops the 1-year ranking list this season, but that is a tad misleading, seeing as the 500,000 he won for winning in Saudi Arabia practically guaranteed that he would be number 1. You see what Zhao Xintong has done, and he's still like 40,000 behind Neil on that list. He's had a few other semi-finals as well, including at the UK Championship, and got to the final of the Invitational Tournament in Saudi Arabia as well. But I still don't think we've quite seen the best of him yet on a consistent basis. His working relationship with Joe Perry could be a big positive to try and turn his Crucible fortunes around, but I've been optimistic too many times in the past, and he finds himself in a brutal quarter of the draw as well. Right, Mark Williams is possibly the hardest man to predict in the entire draw, and I do not think anyone else in the seeds has the same chance of being completely smashed in the opening round as they do of going all the way to the world title as Mark Williams does. He won the Xi'an Grand Prix back in autumn and has made it to at least a quarterfinal on 6 further occasions this season, but you always get that sense that he could also get knocked out early in a tournament as well. But in the same breath, he cannot be ignored at the World Championship, with his run to last year's final still very much fresh in the memory. I really do not know what to expect from him this year, but if he starts floating them in, then everyone is in big trouble. Putting Barry Hawkins as high as 7th might be a little bit of a surprise for many, but this could be the year that Hawkins not only wins his first major, but he claims the biggest tournament of them all. His season had been fairly solid, and then he went on to win the Welsh Open in the not so distant past, which has done a lot of the heavy lifting in me putting him this high on this list. He of course had that incredible run between 2013 and 2018 when he reached a final and 4 semi-finals at the Crucible, but he hasn't reached a quarterfinal there in the past 7 years, including failing to qualify 3 years ago. But there is just something telling me, and it could be completely me being blinded by the Welsh Open, that he might just do something this year. The 4-time world champion John Higgins is coming in at number 6 on the list for me. He may not have won a title, but has enjoyed a season consisting of 3 finals, which included getting to the showpiece of the Masters, and then another 3 further semi-finals. I do think he has been hitting the ball as good as we've seen him for a good while now over the past few months, so he will come to Sheffield feeling very good about his game. The Wizard has reached 3 successive quarterfinals at the World Championship, and that comes after getting to the semis back in 2022. But that does neatly bring me on to my one reservation about John, and this is something I've mentioned before, and that is his stamina. More than once this season, we have seen him look really good at the start of a tournament, before seemingly running out of steam completely at the back end of a tournament. So can he hack it now over a 17-day marathon at the Crucible? That is the only question for me, because he is certainly playing well enough to win it this year. Now, okay, putting O'Sullivan this high up on the list was not what I expected a few weeks ago, but just like the little sheep that I am, I saw what he produced out in China, and I've suddenly been convinced that an 8th world title could very well happen this year. It's over 2 years since he last won a title, and is on course to go back-to-back seasons without any kind of trophy. Of course, he plays in very little nowadays, and he does like a cheeky withdrawal on the eve of a tournament, but I am very much expecting him to be playing here and also playing a big role in the tournament. Last year saw him get to the semi-finals without ever getting out of second gear, and even though this season has largely been poor, signs were there in China that he could be in a more positive frame of mind, not just because he got to the final or made that amazing 153 break, but because his general demeanour has seemed a lot more positive in the interviews at the tournament, and that could be ominous for the rest of the field if he is still feeling like that over the next few weeks. I've said this before about Shaun Murphy, but he is very much hit or miss when it comes to the World Championship, but this year, I think it could be more of a hit kind of season. He's lost in the first round 6 times in the last 14 years, but if he does manage to get into the second week, he often finds himself going all the way to the final, having been 1 match away from a second world title in both 2015 and 2021. The Magician has won a title and reached 2 further finals this season, and I felt for a good while that he could be in for a strong Crucible campaign this year. Most of the time that I've watched him, he's looked in pretty good nick, and often it's taken a very good performance to beat him in tournaments. It's been 5 years since he last reached a quarterfinal here, so he is well overdue a deep run, and like I say, I get this feeling he'll get one this year. Kyren Wilson gets himself a podium place on this list as he chases a second world title 2 years after winning his first. Kyren has landed both the Masters and the Shanghai Masters titles this season, big tournaments, but is actually yet to reach a semi-final of any ranking event, with 3 quarterfinals in Germany, Northern Ireland and Saudi Arabia the best he has been able to achieve. But that Masters performance very much laid the groundwork for a promising title bid here. He had to dig deep all week, particularly against Robertson and Wu Yize, and that is usually the hallmark of what a world champion is also built on. His game isn't quite as strong as it was last season, but a longer format of the World Championship is where this man comes alive, having got to at least the quarterfinals here 7 times in the past 10 years. He will be looking to avenge a first round defeat last year on the opening day as defending champion, and I just feel like it will take a very good performance to get past him over multiple sessions. Judd Trump was my pick to win the World Championship at the start of the season, and that has both positive and negative connotations for his chances this year. The reason I say that is I predicted Mark Selby to win the Masters and he won the UK Championship, and I predicted Kyren Wilson to win the UK Championship and he won the Masters. So surely, to complete the set, Judd Trump is going to win here. But on the bad side is when I predicted Kyren Wilson to win the UK Championship, he lost first round. And when I predicted Mark Selby to win the Masters, he lost first round. So it kind of feels like it's going to go one or two ways for Judd Trump here. He may not have achieved the heights that we are used to, but the world number 1 has still reached 4 finals this season, winning one of them out in Germany. And the fact that he has been so far below that par and still being one of the best players of the season underlines just how hard he is to beat, and he certainly comes here fresher than he has over the past few seasons. Only once in the last 8 years has Judd failed to reach at least the quarterfinals here, so more often than not, he has been one of the key players at the World Championship. It's been 7 years since his maiden title, and you feel it's approaching time that he starts adding to that tally. And then here we are in the number 1 spot. We have the 4-time Crucible King, Mark Selby. To be honest, as soon as he won the Champion of Champions and the UK Championship back-to-back at the end of last year, I was pretty sure he would be my favourite for the World Championship, and that is still the case. We've not seen an awful lot of him actually since the turn of the year, so it could be argued that his little purple patch of form is actually over, but I do not see it that way. His Crucible record speaks for itself, and he is sounding a much happier man off the table than he was during his back-to-back first-round defeats in 2024 and 2025. He is happy, he is confident, and he is my favourite to be picking up a 5th world title in about 3 weeks' time.